Welcome to the podcast today. I'm here with Barnaby Howarth, and he knows stuff, and you are going to get something out of this today. Every now and then I say in episodes, oh, this is technical here, or this is only for a certain type of person. Today's episode is for everyone. Now, Barnaby, you are someone who has achieved huge things in life. You're also someone who's overcome huge hurdles. What's the story? Like, what can we learn from you? Because this podcast is for business owners in the NDIS space who are looking to change the world. How can we learn from you, Barnaby?
So, well, if you think it's learnable, and I am humbled that you said I know stuff, because a lot of times I don't think I do. But so to give you a bit of a quick elevator pitch on my story, I was diagnosed with diabetes at 14, played a season with the Swans in 1998, then was bashed in an alcohol-fueled gang attack and almost died when I was 25, which left me with severe brain damage. I'm now a person with disability. I got a job at ABC News doing the auto queue a few years later. Auto queue pays about as much as the desk I'm sitting at. So I started a side hustle business as a sole trader doing keynote speaking, resilience coaching, and podcast hosting. And so what I've learned from all of it is that before the Swans, I thought I needed something extra. I didn't think what was inside me was good enough, and I needed a mystical superpower to get me ahead and help me compete with the more ruthless, driven people in the world. But after acquiring a disability, I've realised that there is no superpower, mate. Like, it's just, if you face challenges, roll your sleeves up, work hard, be good to people, plant seeds of small goodness over a long period of time, and have faith things will work out. So on my podcast, the Everyday Greatness podcast, I've interviewed Adam Goods, Tracy Holmes, Tom Harley, and the Governor General of Australia, Her Excellency Sam Mostyn, just invited me to interview her at Admiralty House last year. And I've found, looking at those people, they're probably some of the most successful people in Australia. And they don't have anything different to everyone else. They're just really good human beings. They're gracious, they're humble, they're kind, and they're respectful. So, yes, everyone needs their skills and their diplomas and their hard work sort of stuff. But I think the key to it, the mystical superpower part of it, is just keep going. When it feels like just being a good human being isn't working, just keep going. Don't think you need to find something extra. It's just the accumulation of it that makes you successful.
It's remarkable you say that, because first up, well done, and hats off to you for the fact that you can overcome a billion things and then in the process realize, oh, I already had it in me. Like, well done.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, I appreciate it, and I appreciate your time. I chat with a lot of people who are running, say, people who their annual revenue might be 1.5 million. And then I chat with people who their annual revenue might be 10.5 million. And they're all facing the same battles. In the business world, they have different problems. Okay. The 10.5, the $10 million person's dealing with payroll tax, whereas the $1.5 million person's dealing with their marketing issues, right?
Yeah.
They've got different surface issues, but underneath it, I'll do things like I'll invite someone on a podcast, or I'll invite them to speak at a conference or something like that. And whether their business is 1 million or 10 million or bigger, they're all fighting this battle of, we feel like imposters. We feel like, what if what I'm doing fails? Will everyone think I'm a loser? We're all facing this sense of, I don't think I belong here, or what if this platform's taken off me tomorrow? What if the NDIS changes tomorrow and I no longer have a business? And it's like our heads are working against us. Now, you've described being at the top of your game in some ways, being at the bottom of your game in other ways. How the hell do we get our head in the right spot so that we can be people who bounce back from stuff? Because we all talk a big talk. We all say that we're so resilient.
Yeah.
But we're not. We're fragile as crap. What do we need to learn here, Barnaby?
Well, firstly, resilience isn't a thing. Resilience isn't a tangible object. You can't just go to the shop and buy a box of resilience. It's that stuff inside you, the stuff that when you're faced with a challenge and you just roll your sleeves up and you get through it. So resilience is when you just say, oh, I didn't think I'd get through that. I thought I'd struggle to get through that, but I made it. That's awesome. That is resilience. The stuff you can't explain, the stuff you can't touch, you can't see it. But the way I would suggest is the best way to accumulate it. My old footy coach used to say, focus on the game plan, the result will take care of itself. So when I acquired a disability at 25, I didn't feel comfortable calling myself disabled early on, not because I was embarrassed or ashamed or had a problem with the stigma. Just I didn't feel worthy of calling myself disabled. I think people with disability have a superpower to just block out the meaningless crap in life, the TikTok scrolling, the worrying about what people think of your clothes, all the stuff that just doesn't mean anything. They block it out and go, well, I just need to work on this thing today. I need to tie my shoes up. I need to get on the NDIS. I need to go and see my family, stuff that means something. And they just have faith that things will work out. And I think that is a superpower, and that's what builds resilience.
It makes sense. What you're saying makes heaps of sense. And so when you have those times of self-doubt, you were talking about in the early days, that was a bit of self-doubt. What do you do to handle your doubts, your self-talk that says this may turn out bad? What do you tell yourself at those hard times?
I just look back at other people who gained long-term sustainable success from those small intangible things. So when I was at the Swans in '98, Paul Roos was playing, and I rang him the other day after I watched Shaking Down the Thunder, the documentary about the Swans 2005 premiership after the Bloods culture in 2003. And I said to him, you must have been, sorry to swear again, you must have been yourself. Because he brought in the Bloods culture, which was basically saying that the success of the future success of the Sydney Swans would come from an accumulation of good people in the community all rolling their sleeves up, working hard and being good to people over a long period of time. So when I have those self-doubts and think, oh, what I'm doing is a waste of time and I'm not winning and I'm not earning enough money, I just think, well, the Sydney Swans are a big community of people and it works for them. The Governor-General of Australia, her mantra is care, kindness, respect. She's the most powerful person in this country. She can fire the Prime Minister. And if she thinks the most important things in her life are care, kindness, respect, then who the hell am I to doubt that? So that's what helps me through my self-doubts.
That makes heaps of sense. I get that. Okay. And then can you help me understand, you know what it is to deal with a few setbacks and then to overcome. Now, this has been a year that NDIS has been full of setbacks. Every year with NDIS in the last couple of years has just been more and more setbacks. But this year has been a disaster for a big number of NDIS businesses.
Mm-hmm.
When things go really south, people tend to either go down the path of blame, whinge, whine, or they go down the path of, I'm going to dig my heels in and work out a way, and I'm going to pursue that wholeheartedly. Or they're somewhere in the middle, and my sister's somewhere in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
What would be your recommendation to someone who their business has taken an enormous hit this year? It is overcomable, but they didn't put themselves in this hard spot, but now they have to sort it. Otherwise, you're not here next year. Like, what sort of thoughts go through your head?
I think it all comes down to intention and your reason for being. If you started your business with intentions to help people and try and make the community better, then dig your heels in, have faith it'll work out. It's pretty at the moment, granted, but I think that's the only way to get through it. The people that succeed in life that I've seen are the ones that do that. They just dig their heels in and have faith when everything's rocky and it looks like it's been a waste of time. The ones that fail are the ones that, when things get rocky, they think they have to change their systems and they go and start doing radical things and might get some short-term attention. But if you want long-term success, the ones that I've seen do it are the ones that just dig their heels in and say, no, I just need to keep being a good person, keep planting those seeds of small goodness and have faith that it'll work out.
I hear you. You're talking about remembering your why and being committed to it is what I think I'm hearing you say.
Yep.
Awesome. And then you get to hang out with some pretty high-level leaders, and as part of what you do, you see a lot of things that are great and you see a lot of things that are fake. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What what is it that you see in leaders that last the distance? Everyone listening to this believes they're a leader who's going to last the distance, but statistically, a lot of people listening to this, they're going to end up on the wrong side of a camera at a Coldplay concert, or something's going to go very wrong somewhere. Yeah, we don't all make it. Life's a marathon. Like, what do you see at the top levels of leadership that people are doing or thinking or somehow performing as that the rest of us can learn from, so we're still standing at the end of the day?
So at the top level of leadership, I just find it's people just backing themselves, just trusting their systems, trusting the good people around them, and having faith that it's all going to work out. The top leaders are the ones that just say, well, it's a bit rocky now. It's not really working as I was hoping now, but I know that I've started this thing with the right ideas and the right intentions. So I'll just back it and it'll work out.
I get that. So is there some magic? You love talking about mystical powers. Is there some magical mystical power that does separate the elite leaders from the ones who they don't go the distance? Like you're saying, the ones who go the distance are the ones with grit. Yep. Are there any other characteristics you think that are just important for us to pursue or to have as part of our daily routine? Like you've seen all levels and you've seen pretty much all there is to say. What can we learn from you here?
I was actually really surprised. So when I said earlier that I thought I needed something extra, I needed a mystical X factor, I needed a superpower. What surprised me is that there is no superpower. There is no X factor. It's almost as if the higher up the leadership ladder you go, the more likely people are just to be good, solid human beings, and the less likely they are to have an X factor. People that create the X factor and try and be noticed and renowned for their leadership are the ones that tend to fail. The ones that are at the top of their game are the ones that just don't give a rat's what people think. They know they're doing the right thing, so they keep making decisions to back that in, and they end up being considered authentic leaders. People that try and self-define themselves as authentic and humble are the ones that fail. So the ones that just back themselves in and have faith that they're doing the right thing and they're making good changes in the world and helping the community around them, they're the ones that tend to go further.
Wow. That's amazing hearing what you're saying. And I'm also taking aboard what you're saying about the people who are virtue signaling how good they are, or how humble they are, or how team-oriented they are, or how something they are. It's like it's a matter of time because every ounce of energy you're putting into promoting yourself.
Yeah, bloody ass.
This time you're not putting in other things. This year I've actually got to meet in the last 12 months, I've got to meet the 4 people in NDIS who I respect the most. Mm-hmm. And every one of them is immensely influential. Okay. Yeah. A year ago, before I'd met any of them, because I used to be an NDIS provider, I used to run an NDIS business, but now I help NDIS providers with their marketing. That's my job now. Mm-hmm. A year ago, before I met them, I would have assumed all 4 were too busy to care about me, too self-absorbed to listen to anything I had to say, too everything to want to hang out with the little people.
Yeah.
Those 4 people are 4 of the most helpful people that I have met. Mm-hmm. Okay, one of those people, for example, that person could have no income for the next 2,000 years. Wouldn't even have a dent on that person's bank account. I've seen that person pour heaps of time into someone who's just will never be their client and who others would just overlook. And I could go through that with all 4 of those people. And it's interesting you're saying that at the very top, like the whole media or the world has this idea, the people at the top must have got there by being bad. That's just not what I see. I see the people at the very top who are there because, to be honest, they earned it by putting in the hard yards. Mm. What are your thoughts on that? Like, you're allowed to tell me I'm missing the mark. Like, what are your thoughts there?
No, I totally agree with you, mate. I think the ones that do get there from being a bit of a badass are the ones who are, their house of cards eventually comes falling down. Whereas one of the things that stood out for me when I spoke to the Governor General, she's given her title, given her position in the world, she's got about half a dozen people who just wait on her hand and foot, get her glasses of water, pens, whatever she needs. But every time one of those people came over and said, "Oh, Her Excellency, do you need a pen?" she'd say, "Oh, no, I'm good, thank you. But Jack, meet Barnaby. But Barnaby, Jack's wife, Mary, just ran a marathon and the kids are doing this," and just knew all about them, which I think is the thing that separates the badass people from the good leaders. And she'd never come out and tell you that she's an awesome leader because she's the Governor General of Australia. I interviewed her 10 years ago before she was Governor General, and she said humility is one of the biggest things she finds important, but she's very wary of people who self-describe themselves as humble. Because as you said, it just reeks of inauthenticity.
Yeah, I hear you. All right. Well, let's hope you and I aren't too humble then. Okay. What I'm also thinking is, you know what it's like to have a stroke and then to claw inch by inch things back after that. Now, a lot of people listening to this, look, we run businesses. I've never had a stroke. Can I relate? I don't know, but I know that your story is worth every one of us hearing. What was that like? And how did that help you to become the sort of person of influence and grit that you are today?
So I had my stroke when I was 25, so I was still pretty young. And I just didn't know, mate. 2005 there wasn't the information and resources available for a person with disability. So I sort of treated it like a footy injury. I was still playing footy when I had the stroke. So I just thought, well, basically what had happened was all the signals I'd built up from my brain to the left side of my body had been wiped clean. So I just knew I had to work pretty hard, roll my sleeves up, trust my therapist, because I had no idea what I was doing. And then when I started applying for jobs, I didn't understand the landscape, the disability employment landscape, and there was no one there to hold your hand and walk you through it. So it was a bit of a daunting time, and it was just really uncertain. But it was just those seeds of small goodness I was talking about coming back to me. My family came into my hospital room every night. My little brother was living in Scotland. He flew back with his girlfriend. And the Swans, the blokes I played with in 1998, came into my hospital room in 2005 when they heard that I was in a spot of bother, just to get around me, pat me on the back, let me know they hoped everything was all right. I've got a photo with Leo Barry leaning on my wheelchair that was taken in August 2005. And that's the very team that won the Sydney Swans' first AFL premiership in 72 years, thanks largely to Leo Barry's mark. So it was tough, mate. It was a really uncertain time, but I just found I didn't take too much time to sit in the corner and rock on my haunches back and forth in depression, because I just didn't have time. There were too many people around to chat to. So those seeds of small goodness were probably the most important thing that got me through it. There was no one little grain of wisdom or flash of inspiration or voice of God in the middle of the night. It was just an accumulation of good people helping me out with really small things and trusting that those good people knew what they were on about and had my best intentions at heart.
Wow, that's so good. And so then it was what, inch by inch? How long till you started to feel like you were driving your life again, as opposed to you at the mercy of life?
Oh, mate, it was months. So neuroplasticity had just become a thing in '05, and my therapist kept on telling me that it was just a matter of doing it over and over and over again and reinforcing signals. So I felt like it was a waste of time and they didn't know what they were talking about. But I just trusted them and kept on doing it. And I just felt really uncoordinated and unattractive, but had faith that they knew what they were on about. So I just kept on doing it. Was in a wheelchair when I first got out of hospital. Eventually started walking again, got my license back. Um, it probably took a good 6 months to get back to being functional. It's now 20 years later, and I'm still probably 75% of who I was beforehand. But I think old age is playing a part in that more than the brain damage. But yeah, look, it's as NDIS people would know, and especially therapists, there's no short-term fix. It's just roll your sleeves up and work hard for a long period of time. And it sucks. There was no happy thing to look at. The fact that I just survived was one of the happiest things. But I ended up, so when I had the stroke, I was on 96 games at my local footy club, made a comeback and played my 100th game, which was incredible. I have married twice. I lost my first wife to breast cancer, which was really difficult to deal with, but it was such a beautiful experience. We had the most passionate, uh, relationship I've ever seen. We did 19 legs of our honeymoon. We had Emmanuel Kelly, who just opened for Coldplay, sing at our wedding. And we went all around Australia and all around the world while I was doing my keynote speaking. So, yeah, look, there's a lot of shitty times along the way, but the good times made it all worthwhile.
I hear you, and well done. And I'm also hearing that you're saying life has been hard, and we're still blessed, and like we have so much to be grateful for. Like you said, you were alive. Whoa,
Yeah.
you had a wife who loved you. Whoa, like there's plenty of people who wish they had that, and plenty of people who are dead who don't have the opportunity to wish for anything. I hear you. Can you help me understand? Can I ask you a really hard question? Is that all right?
Yeah, buddy else.
So I don't even know how to phrase this without being offensive, but so I'll need your help with this.
Mm-hmm.
There's within the Australian disability sector. So my job is to help people get their website to speak the truth, get their LinkedIn to be the real them so that others will come to them, right? That's my job.
Mm-hmm.
But what I see is so hard. I see a landscape where business owners do not even know how to speak to people with disability.
Mm-hmm.
They either speak to them like they're an alien from a foreign world,
Yeah.
or they'll speak to them in terminology that they're like, what? Or they'll just talk like somehow like they're ASIO or the ATO or the Commonwealth Bank. What the hell should we be doing if we find ourselves as a business owner who does seem disconnected, doesn't know how to talk to the market, market being people who actually just need a hand?
Yeah.
Like, what is broken with marketing in the NDIS that we could turn you in?
That's a discussion we have a lot. At the ABC, I speak to people about disability engagement and how to talk to people because a lot of managers feel quite uncomfortable. But it just be a real human being. Like I know there's a lot of political danger in just being honest, but people with disability are just human beings. They just have different abilities. I know that's a cliche that gets used a lot, but there's too much fakeness in the world in general, just as, in marketing and corporations without factoring in disability. So just, pardon the French again, but cut the bullshit. Just talk to people like they're human beings. And if they have got a disability, you say, oh, that sucks. Tell me about it. Don't, tiptoe around and think you're going to damage someone. And it's not that sensitive. People with disability are really open to talking about it on the whole. And I haven't met one person with disability that's really private and doesn't want to talk about it. So just talk like they're like normal human beings. And if they've got a disability, just say, oh, that must suck. But don't try and hide. Don't try and fake it till you make it. Just talk to them like they're regular people.
That makes sense. And so I guess I see people who want to hide behind language instead of conversation. Like we see a lot of the whole, oh, we're person-centered, we're ethical providers, we're this, but it's like someone's just waiting for them to come along and say what is it that if we want to speak to our market, if we want to speak in a way that people are going to hear that and go, I want Michael to work for me. You're saying talk like a human. What does that mean? Like, what sort of conversation would that be? What would it look like on the phone? What would it look like on a website? How do we be ourselves when deep down we might actually feel a bit awkward? I don't know how to talk to this person. Does this person think I'm judging them? Like, how do we what are the steps, Barnaby?
It's not rocket science. I think the world tries to make things too rocket science. If you're nervous about speaking to a person with disability, just go and have a conversation with them on your own. And don't think you're flying the flag of your corporation or the Australian government or the NDIS or the NDIA. Just go and talk to them. They're human beings that just like to be asked. So there's a mate of mine who has had a stroke, who's a person with pretty severe disability and he's quite physically affected. I invited him to the Pennant Hills Past Players Day, a game of footy the other day. And he was just blown away. He said, "Oh, mate, that's the first time since I've had my stroke that someone just treated me like a normal human being." And that's what people with disability are craving, just not to be seen as special cases or need any sort of more significant help than the next person, just to be treated like a person. And people with disability get to things, so ask them about it. If they've got a massive limp and they struggle to walk upstairs, ask them how hard it is. So if you get on the phone or if you get on email or on the phone, don't think too much about it. Just have a conversation like you would if it was your next door neighbor.
It makes sense. I really get that. It's like, Barnaby, you started a podcast, and it's like something in NDIS world, the door is wide open for people to start podcasts because there's so many cool things to talk about. There's so much good news every day.
Yeah.
And I'll often say to people I'm working for, have you got a podcast? Oh, you don't have a podcast. Imagine if you did. What are the doors that have opened for you by having a podcast? Or why might someone like you or I say to people, every man and his dog needs a podcast? There's the remarkable things that come out of it. What's been there for you, apart from interviewing the Governor General and a whole stack of other famous people? What's the why of why people like you and I say, come on, get out there, start your own?
Well, my podcast, very interestingly, is like a reflection on my life's journey. So it's called Everyday Greatness. And I started it 10 years ago when I still thought there must be something more out there. There must be an X factor or a mystical superpower that I'm missing. So I wanted to speak to those big name leaders and find out what they had that the rest of us didn't. But Tom Harley, who's about to become the COO of the AFL, he's the CEO of the Sydney Swans and captain Geelong to 2 premierships. He said the most successful people he's ever met are just good, solid human beings. They're gracious, they're kind, they're humble, they're subservient to a greater cause. Might be their footy club, their business, or their family. Adam Goods, when I spoke to him, he told me about what the Bloods culture meant for him in 2003. He said, growing up in Victoria, he didn't know what it meant to be an Aboriginal person. But being a part of the Bloods culture, he could see the cultures. He could see the rituals and the singing the song was like the celebrations. The leaders of the Swans were like the elders. And he said feeling that sense of belonging made him want to be a leader for the first time in his life. Sam Mostyn, the Governor General, said that her mantra is care, kindness, respect, and talked about she talked about how Australia used to disagree very well. You could have a conversation about footy or politics or whatever it was, and you could disagree and go for different teams or different policies. But at the end of that conversation, you just shake the person's hand, look him in the eye, and walk away respectfully. So my podcast aimed to find the mystical X factor, but it sort of surprised me in that there is no mystical X factor. It's reinforced the fact for me that just those small things that people think are a waste of time are the things that actually propel people to high leadership.
It makes sense. What you're saying makes sense. And you talked about being subservient to a greater cause. What's your greater cause? Or what are some of the greater causes you've seen some of the best people be subservient to?
So a lot of people are subservient to their business. So one of the best businesses I've seen from a community point of view is the ARA Group. They're a major sponsor of Everyday Greatness. And they have a thing called the Endowment Fund, which is an arm of their business that raises money to give back to charities and community groups. So the managing director of the ARA Group, I actually interviewed him on my podcast, and he talked about the fact that it just feels good. He doesn't raise money and give to charities because he expects something in return. He said it just feels like the right thing to do. So that's one subservience. A lot of athletes are subservient to their work ethic for their sport. So Paralympians, Olympians, football players. Others are. It's funny. Some of the other people I've spoken to are subservient to their family. Like you and I had a conversation before this podcast started. about how good our weekends were because we spent time with our families.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that a lot of people miss. So a lot of people think that if I'm going to be successful or be something in this world, I need something extra. I need something more than the next person. But the accumulation of that small stuff is all you need. Enjoy your time with your family. Be grateful that you're still alive. Be grateful that you can listen to a podcast. Be grateful that you can host a podcast. Just appreciate the small things in life.
It makes sense. And when you say subservient to a business, there's part of me that just feels like I drank poison. Because I see so much, Barnaby, in NDIS world, these amazing people who have so much to offer the world. They have 2 kids who think the world of them, or a husband or a wife who is just amazing. And their whole life becomes keeping the business working. And what's behind that is that in a lot of subsectors of NDIS world, very thin profit margins. Thin profit margins means the director has to be very hands-on involved because they can't just pay someone to do all the work.
Yeah.
So this business which they've created to serve others, to be a blessing to others, to be a financial blessing to them, actually becomes a very nasty master, like a slave driver. And it's like, oh, can't live without the phone, can't live without being texting, sending a participant, a client, a text at no notice to solve dramas. And I'm just like, I see people wasting their years serving a business because they haven't distinguished between this is my business here and this is who I am over here. And we're not the same thing. You've seen a lot of things. What are your thoughts on this idea that, look, if we're going to be subservient to something, it probably shouldn't be our business? But like, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, I know what you mean. And being subservient to a business sounds a bit sterile and nasty.
But it's the truth.
If your business is giving back to the community, like I'm tipping every NDIS business you come across was started with the intention of making people's lives better. So reconnect with that and put the systems in place where you don't have to be a slave to your phone and on your computer, and you can have more time with your family and give back to the world. Then if you're subservient to your business, it feels like you're making a positive mark on the world. Yeah, you're right. It's something you don't want to be a slave to is your job. But if your job is something you started and you strongly believe in, then make it work for you and make it feel like you're giving a positive impact to the world. I'm no expert, mate, in business systems and strategies and logistics and things. So one of the things I started my business as a keynote speaker about 12 years ago. And I, same as you, I thought there was too much fakeness in the world. I didn't want to fall down that rabbit hole. So I've created an automated signature on my emails that says Barnaby Howarth. But if I'm sending an email to somebody that I have a relationship with, I'll manually go in and delete my surname. So it's just from Barnaby, thinking, oh, people will get this. People will realize it's just a real human being, not just an automated robot speaking to them. And for the first few years, I thought, this is such a waste of time. This is just a failure. This is a dumb idea. But now with the world getting so much more ruthless and automated bots doing most of people's communication, I feel like that's a really strong point of difference. So I'm a bit subservient to my job, but I feel like my job is giving back to the world. I had a kid at a year 12 leadership conference in Adelaide a little while ago. I gave a speech to, and he came up to me really excited afterwards. He said, oh, Barnaby, that was awesome. Thanks so much. I was like, yeah, no worries, mate. Just calm down. He said, no, I saw you speak when I was in year 9. I've done everything you said. And now I'm here as a year 12 leader. So that kind of reaction from people who see me and understand what I'm on about, that makes me, I totally admit I'm subservient to my job, but I love it, mate. Like I really feel like I'm making a positive mark on the world. So being subservient doesn't feel like it's a bad thing.
It's like you've chosen that. You reckon that's awesome. Like that, I think that would be a different type of subservient. That's almost like you're getting fed by this. You're loving it.
Yeah.
And that's not what I'm seeing around me though. So I'm actually really encouraged hearing you say that. I think that's awesome. It's like, last question for you, Barnaby, what are you excited about in the future?
So in the future, I kind of am disappointed that I have a job where I can speak about rolling your sleeves up and working hard and being good to people. I think that's just how the world should operate day to day without thinking. But the world seems to be getting really ruthless and competitive and backstabby and fake, and everyone's trying to establish their personal brand. So to keep spreading this message that you can just, pardon the French again, but just try not to be a head as much as possible, have faith, things will work out. That's what I'm looking forward to, just spreading that message further and wider.
I think it's a worthwhile message, because at the end of the day, we're not evaluated by how our performance is this week or this month or this year. Okay. One day we'll be on our deathbed and we'll either have our wife and kids there with us or we won't. And if they are with us, well, it's their opinion that matters. It's like most of us are wasting our life competing and trying to be something we're not.
Yeah.
And we're not grateful for what we have because we don't have time to even notice it. And what you're saying is like you're trying to make you're trying to make the time count. And I reckon good on you, and you are, and well done. And the world will do what it does. And you and I are only accountable for how we spend our time. But mate, you've just spent a whole stack of time helping a whole bunch of NDIS business leaders remember their why. And Barnaby, I am so grateful to you. I am so appreciative of your time, and thank you so much for spending this time with us today.
No problem at all, mate. And I hope it sinks in and helps a few people with their business.
Absolutely. And if someone wants to get in touch with you, Barnaby, how do they find you?
So, actually, speaking of being personal branding, social media is probably the best way for me.
Okay.
LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Just send me a message.
I love it.
Send me a message. We'll exchange phone numbers, and I prefer going and having a coffee rather than just dealing in electronically over email and things. So yeah, get in touch on social media and we'll catch up in person.
That is such an Aussie thing to say, isn't it? I love it. And if anyone needs his details, get in touch with me. Look up Michael at athletickoala.com.au and I'll happily put you in touch with Barnaby Howarth. You have a good one, Barnaby. Thanks so much.
Thank you, mate. Thanks for having me.